Right, Madam Chair, I can confirm that the live stream is now up and we are also recording the meeting.
Okay, so let's call this meeting to order. It's now about, it's December 30th and it's 10:08 a.m. We'll start with a roll call of the members. Please state your name for the record. This is Shannon Murphy.
Meg Takenko.
Marilyn Borja.
Christopher Cruz.
Daphne Leon Guerrero.
Okay, so we do have a quorum. We're just missing one member, Dr. Jack, who's been asked to be excused, but he might join us later. Let's look at the agenda. Have you guys had a chance to review it? Does anybody have any
Yes.
questions about it? Yeah?
No questions.
No questions.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion
Oh,
to approve.
Yeah,
Second.
everybody in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So I guess the agenda and the minutes are approved. And we'll move on to the reports. Jesse?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Hoffaday Commissioners, thank you again for the opportunity to meet and provide you with these updates. We have quite a few since our last meeting in November. First, for our website and e-learning portal, work with the contracted vendor has not progressed further than the last report given to the Commission. Our office has made several unsuccessful attempts to reach them. And so we're currently considering canceling the contract and returning the unexpended funds to the account so that we may resolicit other vendors who can produce the Commission website. The e-learning portal, we concluded the RFQ process and found that we only received 2 out of 3 positive quotations. So not having the third affirmative quotation meant that we did not necessarily fulfill the mandate for small purchasing. And so we had canceled that RFQ and intend to go out for another solicitation. So the hope is that we could combine both now into a new solicitation for both the website and e-learning portal. Moving on to item B on my report, which is the procurement training. Staff concluded module 4 just yesterday. So we were quite stressed, but we're hopeful that with passing scores, we would have completed all the required procurement modules in record time. Currently in the government of Guam, there are just a few dozen employees who have successfully completed all the required modules. And we're very proud that at least 2, we hope, will be from this office.
Congratulations.
With regards to, thank you so much, Madam Chair. Yeah, we've gotten a lot of comments that we were able to complete that in the 6 months that we've been here. Most have taken up to 3 to 4 years to get all the modules. Moving on to item C, we have our lease agreement. So the team continues to have conversations with GSA about our lease issues, and there is anticipation that we will reissue a new bid sometime next year. So we were looking to complete all the certifications for procurement prior to us issuing our first bid, and of course, trying to exhaust all administrative remedies available to us through GSA. So unfortunately, there is no update that I can provide other than the conversations continue with both offices. To item D, legal counsel. On December 27th, Governor Leon Guerrero enacted Public Law 3667, which authorizes the Commission to obtain legal services and also pay for services rendered in fiscal year 21. So we had already contacted the prior vendor to provide us with any outstanding invoices. They've since turned that to our office, and we quickly turned that around and submitted the payment request. Once that is completed, our intent is to prepare what is called a request for proposal for legal services. And then upon completion of the RFP, to have legal services in place early next year for the duration of the fiscal year. To the ethics training workshops. We completed our final workshop for 2021 on December 17th. We estimate that nearly 300 GovGuam officials have completed their ethics training with the commission since we started offering trainings in August of this year. The memorandum of agreement with the university has been fully executed, and the first workshop is expected to be conducted on January 14th and will occur weekly thereafter. Our goal with this MOA is to have around 2,000 government officials trained in the upcoming year, which will be right on target with what was presented to the commission at its August meeting. There was a request from the university that I did want to raise. They were hopeful that the commission would be interested in perhaps a press release or press conference that would bring together the commission and the university as a sign of a partnership and just kind of announcing that there is this new partnership with the university. So I brought up to them after our conversation that I would pose that to the commission and see your thoughts and then go back to them once I've had clearer guidance. So I only posed the question out to the commission if they had any particular interest. I think if I could explain what was requested or what was proposed is they wanted perhaps a press conference and to have maybe the commission chair and other officials who are available along with university officials there to sign and then announce this new partnership. So I wanted to ask if that was of any interest to the commission in doing.
Sounds fine with me. It would just be at the university.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
And tentatively, since the first workshop is scheduled for January 14th, so we're assuming a few days before the 14th to have that press conference and then launch on Friday the 14th.
Would anybody else like to attend the press conference?
If I'm available, I wouldn't mind.
Okay.
Same here.
Great. And so we'll work out with the university. I know that they have an office of communications that has experience producing this type of press conference. So we'll do our part to bring both parties together and see if we can find a suitable date and activity that would announce the partnership. So thank you so much for that. Item F is on our recruitment update. We had concluded the search for ethics program coordinators, and I wish to express many thanks to both Chairperson Murphy and Commissioner Leon Guerrero, who has served on the interview panel. We had a total of 7 qualified applicants who were extended an invitation to be interviewed. 6 attended, and of them 3 have been offered a position and have accepted. So all the recruitment forms have been submitted, and anticipated start date for the new hires is on January 31, 2022. I will prepare a bio for the commissioners. I was having a conversation with the chair that when we conduct our board education program or our boardsmanship training, then we can outline what the 3 new hires will augment in as far as the office operation, whether that be training or procurement requirements and as such. So you can get a better understanding of who are these individuals, what were their particular expertise that stood out, and how they'll help support the commission in its goals for the upcoming year. And then finally for my report was a commission policy on election of officers. So Chairperson Murphy had requested I draft up a policy. This is not for board action because it wasn't posted on the published announcement in the paper, but I did want to just share, it is in your packet and we'll probably present this for action at the commission's January meeting. In essence, it opens a conversation for how often, what are the officer positions for the commission? I know the commission has had elected its chairperson and vice chairperson. So this policy would formalize that to say that there are those 2 officer positions. and then extends to who is qualified for the position, how often the officers are elected, and if any, term limits on officers. And so this will give continuity, and then we can have this refreshed every period as desired by the commission, but it would at least be formal in nature where we would continue to have this conversation. So again, this is presented to you in your packet, but I am open to any suggestions. If I might go through the proposed policy. Right now, it just outlines that the two officer positions for the commission are the chairman and the vice chairman, and that any voting member of the commission is eligible to become an officer, that the elections are taking place January of each year, and there would be a majority of voting members to decide an election of an officer. Also, there was a question about term limits. So in statute, there is no specification on term limit of officers, only term limits for members. So if the commission had desired one way or the other, you can provide me that feedback. Some organizations have indicated that the chairman and vice chair could not serve for more than 2 consecutive terms. Some don't even mention any term limits. So long as the commission continues to elect them to those positions, they can continue to serve. So I present that as a food for thought, and then you can let me know your thoughts on either position, and I can be sure to include that in the draft policy. Are there any questions on the document that's being shared on the screen?
I have one. I mean, sometimes boards have like a secretary and treasurer too. Do we need that? Maybe not.
Great question. So I know, and as far as the secretary position, the law does state that the executive director takes on that secretary role, having to prepare the minutes and getting all the announcements out for the commission. But the treasurer position, it can be a position for the commission if, you know, what we've reviewed is typical organizations that create a treasurer position would have established what would be considered a finance committee. And there would be roles identified to the finance committee, maybe certain purchase requests and actions are done through the committee, and therefore the treasurer chairs that committee. But that could be a conversation if any official is interested in setting that up and now allowing a treasurer to also be included as a position. It's quite possible, and it really is up to the desire of the commission if they want to add a treasurer.
Well, I think it would be a good position to have. That's my opinion, because it'd be someone that you could talk to about, you know, the budget and maybe do a quarterly report about our spending and have someone really review everything, you know, the budget and the spending as, you know, maybe just quarterly. But I think it'd be good to take be of assistance to you, Jesse, as the director. Anybody else have any thoughts about that? I'd like to see it personally.
Who currently holds that responsibility? Would that be you as the executive director, Jess? That
Yes.
manages the, okay.
Right. So I guess for us to clarify, being a new organization, there was a policy adopted by the commission that highlights what levels of purchasing would require board action, and then that would support having a board level treasurer. But for the general office expenditures, those are between the executive director being the appointed authority of the commission and then dealing with GSA and DOA. But I see the chair's request. I think that's a value added for the commission. I agree with her that a treasurer would be really awesome to have. And when we do involve ourselves with purchasing levels that reach the threshold for commission review, then at least the treasurer could help lead in those conversations and help support the commission in understanding the request and what's being asked for in support.
I think it will also be good in terms of having checks and balances, right? Because when you have one person responsible for all functions, and especially finance, it's always good to have a second set of eyes or some sort of process that ensures there's proper controls, especially around money. So I would support that, and like we in our other organizations, and even within our organization for payroll, we have to have a series of checks and balances. Not that we don't trust people, but it just allows for better accountability and better visibility of these functions. So I would support it.
Agreed. And so, Madam Chair, hearing that, maybe what I can do to the policy is beyond the policy of the election of officers, I will add a paragraph on what specific role a chairperson, vice chairperson, and treasurer would have to then enhance this proposed draft. And then the commission can review and decide if it's meaningful enough to adopt and then carry forward.
Okay. Thank you.
Great. And that concludes my director's report.
Okay. So is there any old business for us to review or discuss? There isn't,
No
right?
old business, correct.
Okay. And for new business, what do we have on our agenda here? We'll start with
If
B.
Yes,
go
if I
ahead.
might ask that we table item A first, which was meant to be the commission training, and then get through the action items in B, C, and D. If there are no
Okay.
objections.
Do it. Yes.
Thank you, commissioners. So first for item B, this is the ethics training request for extension. So I have first a communication from the judiciary. We received this shortly after the commission's November meeting, and then this is the first formal meeting that commission can take action. In just this request extends that they do wish to comply with the mandate of having their employees trained within the 6-month timeline, particularly for new employees who came on board after May 12th, when the Ethics in Government program was updated. Because of the limited space and availability of our workshops in 2021, there were a group of employees who fell through and did not meet the 6 months. So in order to allow for the judiciary to enable those employees to get trained without any perceived penalty, which none currently exists, they're formally requesting that the commission grant these employees an extension until a suitable time when enough trainings are available and that their employees can register for those workshops. I think this is a fair request, and again, this is provided in your packet that which outlines the history, our conversations, and then also who among the employees with the judiciary are actually referenced here in the request. So I asked the commission, my report is to endorse. I endorse this request and ask the commission also approve this extension, provided that they get trained within the next year.
So 400 people, huh? And you have like 50 people per training session. So you think they can do it within a year?
Yes, we're offering these workshops weekly, so we expect that they can achieve this for new employees. All existing employees, the statute does provide us with a 36-month window, so those employees wouldn't need to come by and get an extension.
Does anybody have any questions about that?
No.
No? It's, do you want us to vote or just let you know if we approve?
Perhaps, yes, a formal motion to accept and approve the Judiciary of Guam's request for an extension to the 6-month ethics training requirement.
I move.
Second, anyone?
I'll second.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Daphne
Let's
can
go ahead
second.
Everybody approve that request?
Approved.
Approved.
Yeah. Anybody disapprove? No? Okay, so we'll go ahead and it's approved.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next set is for training approvals. So within the October period, we started to receive from every agency a listing of all their employees that have gone through the ethics training and those that still needed to undergo the ethics training. Amongst the 30 plus GovGuam entities, about exactly three, had actually presented information that they had already gone through training through another provider prior to the law being enacted. And so there was a conversation of whether the commission should and would accept those trainings as legitimate trainings that meet the mandate of the law. The first organization that I am here to report on and is in your packet is in the Guam International Airport Authority. Their training, their material was provided to us. There was conversations on the topics that are required to be covered in law, which include gifting, contracting, procurement, etc. And the training was done by a licensed attorney. I believe it was their in-house legal counsel, Areola. So with that information, the individuals that went through training that were presented to us received the training in February and March of 2021, which means that they'll be due for their 4-year recertification with the commission by 2025. I don't think that this will have a serious impact granting the request, considering that they did cover the same topics and that the commission will still be able to capture them in 2025 in order to get trained. So our endorsement is to support the request to approve that those employees had obtained the training as of the date of their training, but that all subsequent trainings now that the commission is offering them would need to be conducted by the Guam Ethics Commission.
That sounds good to me. Is the training materials provided there in the, I mean,
Yes,
where did they
it's
get those? Are they the same ones that everybody else is using? Or they're a little
Actually, it
bit
is not. Their in-house counsel had prepared training specific to them. They did cover the same themes that everyone must cover, but they were a little more centric to the role of an airport official and things that they would be involved in.
Makes sense.
So that request will be a motion to approve the acceptance of the Airport Authority's ethics training dated February through March 2021, but that they go through ethics training with the commission now that the commission is set up and offering the training for their renewal and all subsequent refresher courses.
Does anybody
I'll
make a motion to approve?
Yeah, I'll make a
Yeah.
motion to approve.
Seconded. I seconded. Everybody approve? Yes. All right.
Approved.
It's
Aye.
approved.
Thank you, Madam
So
Chair. And there were two other requests. The second request is from the Guam Visitors Bureau. They had a similar training conducted by a Mr. Dan Fitzgerald. His training was provided in the packet. So Dan Fitzgerald is a certified public accountant, not a practicing attorney, but the training material is provided and does cover the material that would be included in the Ethics in Government program. So I'm on this request feeling the same way that the entity would also need to go through a refresher course with the commission now that the commission is set up, but that we would grant an acceptance of their training provided by the CPA as compliant with the law.
But then next time they have the training, it will be through us, the same thing. Yeah.
Correct.
Motion to approve?
I move.
Okay. Second.
I
I'll
can
second
a second. Okay.
Okay. Everybody approve? Yes. Yeah.
Aye.
Okay. That's approved. Jesse, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And the last request actually comes from the Southern district. And so this organization is a unique one. While they did provide me with all their training materials and it was complete, unfortunately, I could not find any background on their trainer that explained what expertise they lended that would legitimize their training. And also their material was dated and incomplete from what the law required. So for this particular request, we don't endorse and would rather provide information following the commission's action that their training was not approved by the commission and they would need to register with the commission for an ethics training or ethics workshop.
Which organization is this?
This is with Southern Guam, Southern Water District Guam.
Oh, it's a water district. How many employees do they have?
They only have one and they're 7 board members. And so it would be their board members and the one employee that would need to go through this training.
Sounds reasonable. So you want us to vote on whether we can reject their request, right?
Yes, so the motion is to reject the request and inform that they attend an ethics training by the commission.
Motion to reject, would be reject or approve?
Yes.
Reject.
Motion to reject.
Okay. Who wants to make that motion?
I will make a motion to reject.
Okay. Second,
I will
Second.
second that
that
motion.
reject. All right, and all those who are in favor of rejecting that motion? Aye.
I,
Everybody else, yeah. Okay, that's done. I know, Jesse, you have to make a phone call, don't you?
I
Gonna
do,
wait.
Madam Chair, may I request a few minutes
Short
recess to make a quick phone call?
Yes.
Thank you.
You turn off the video?
Yes, you may, and be on, you can place yourselves on mute. I can come back when I'm done.
Okay.
All right, Madam Chair, not successful. So if you'd like to call the meeting back to order from recess.
Okay, the meeting is back to order.
Great, thank you, Madam Chair. Item C rather is on the fiscal 2023 budget request for the commission. This was provided in your packet, but I'll go ahead and place this on the share screen.
Okay,
So this document here is probably something you're familiar with. I presented it at the last budget cycle. Now, this is considered your budget digest, which is an overview of the request for the upcoming fiscal year. You can pay particular focus to columns A, B, C, because we don't receive any other appropriation through special fund or federal sources. So what is in the general fund is typically what is in our total request. For these items, the column A distinguishes what was spent and encumbered in FY21. Column B is what was authorized in this immediate fiscal year, and then column C is what we would like to request for the upcoming year. So as an overview, and we'll get into detail further in the subsequent tabs, for salaries and benefits of the personnel for the commission, the total request comes out to $355,275. And then we move on to travel. There was no request included for travel. Currently, the legislature has put a ban on travel unless the organization is a member of a federal organization in which they would attend national conferences. For contractual services, the sum is $44,125. For office space rental, $34,320. Miscellaneous supplies, materials, and equipment at $4,000 and $6,500 respectively. And then miscellaneous at $26,776. So the total operational need is $115,000 and $721. Telephone is at $3,923. That's inclusive of the internet lines as well. So here you also see the FTE equivalent. So we went from 3 to 5 existingly and hope to retain the 5 in the next fiscal year. And now to the description of those requests. So I'll start on the bottom tabs. You'll find the summary of the proposed staffing pattern and the summary of the proposed staffing pattern in detail. And this is the individuals and their pay classification. So this outlines that we're essentially taking them from the existing salary and then financing for any increment should they receive a positive performance evaluation. And those increment amounts are listed here under column I. The retirement benefits did go up from the previous 28.6% of their total salary. It's now at 29.5%. So that will justify some increase in our expenditures for payroll. Also, medical and dental premiums. We've always had to over budget because typically we only have information available of the current medical contract. They do increase every year, but we don't want to be in a position where we under budget, meaning we fund for what is the current year rate that the government share is, and then not account for what it might be in the future. So you'll see that the medical and dental are slightly inflated to account for what the cost would be should the contract lead into increased costs. And then the totals provided under column S. For current, there are 2 funding sources for our personnel at this time. For the general fund, we have 4 employees that are funded out of the general fund, myself included. And those are the respective levels indicated there. And then for the federal fund, we have 1 of the new hires that is being funded out of the American Rescue Plan. And then that information is provided there. Again, their insurance is inflated slightly to account for any increase in the rates. TA form is what we call travel authorization. So earlier you saw that the request indicated $0 for travel. And so as such, you'll find a blank form here. So there's no travel being requested out of any legislative appropriation to the commission. And then earlier you heard those amounts listed for operations to include contractual supplies, equipment, miscellaneous. So I can zoom in here so we may go through, sorry if that might be too close. What are those items that would make up those categories? So to start off with contractual, again, we're hoping to continue our copier lease at $6,000, and that is the annual fee. We hope to join in with membership into COGL, which is the Commission on Government Ethics Laws. This is a national organization in which we were introduced by the Guam Election Commission. They're actually a member of the organization. So they regularly update their members with information, new updates on ethics related laws and election laws. So that would be our first request, to fund membership into the national organization. For the commission website maintenance and hosting, we received several quotes, so this is just an estimate that it would cost the commission $9,000. We are still on track to try to reach a vendor that will give us outright ownership. But if the commission were to end up having to secure with a vendor that maintains the rights, then that is the general rate that we would be charged for them to maintain the site. Newspaper advertisements, this is the current rate we pay for each meeting. This accounts for 2 publishings as mandated by the open government law. But we're hopeful that those rates will change favorably for the commission, meaning they'll charge less, but we don't know. We're hopeful that this will at least stay the same, and so we're providing for those meetings. Professional publications and subscriptions. So if we do avail of those professional memberships, that we would be able to subscribe to their newsletters and other publications to help strengthen the information and knowledge we have for the office. And then legal services for the commission will be a contract, and $25,000, slightly over, is the expected budget for legal services. And the sum for contractual matches the cover sheet, which is $44,125. For supplies and material, we don't have any specific supplies or computer material in mind. These are just placeholders if in case anything breaks down or we might find a need to procure for certain supplies. We're asking for a broad budget of $2,000 for each category. Under equipment, to purchase laptop computers and file cabinets, this request actually might not be necessary. And we have enough computer equipment to support the current staff that we have on board. And they're new, so I don't expect that we would need to purchase anything new. I guess only my equipment, because I'm still using my personal laptop, but I don't think that this is necessary for us to fund in the upcoming year with the general fund. If the commission's looking to reduce the total request, this might be a category that we would be able to reduce, as well as filing cabinets. So because of ARPA funds, we were able to secure resources to purchase storage cabinets for PPE. So we can see that those cabinets can serve dual purpose perhaps. And that request could be reduced or eliminated altogether if you were trying to reduce the total request. For miscellaneous, we have the commission stipends, and this accounts for if the commission were to receive its full complement of members, which is a total of 7. We currently have 6. So that would include the 7th member and having 1 regular meeting, or rather 2 regular meetings per month. In the event that we hear ethics complaints, which would increase the frequency in which the commission meets, then we would have enough funds to support the stipends. Procurement training, although we've completed the procurement training, it would be nice if we had additional staff go through the modules as well. And this will allow for a revolving number of officials that are now certified and have that information and can serve in those capacities should myself or Pam not be well or not be available. Madam Chair, may I take a quick recess to take this phone call?
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm done with the call now. I apologize for requesting the recess, but it was important. We got good information.
Okay, we're back then. Let's go ahead and finish.
Great. So the last conversation was on the GCC procurement training modules. This budget is to allow for 2 more staff to complete all 4 modules, and that would be the budget request for that. AS400 and DOA GSA on-base license. So these are 2 softwares that are mission essential. I think that we can fully support these requests under our revenue fund, the fines and fees account. So if, again, the commission is looking to reduce or eliminate those amounts, I think these categories can be an option for us to consider axing. And then miscellaneous expenses, quite honestly, we don't know what the year may hold and if something might come up beyond what we're projecting to expend for. So that allows us that cushion, especially if certain things that were budgeted tend to come in over what we were anticipating to expend. And then that would make up for those differences. And then 0 cost for capital outlay. So back to the summary. Again, the total for operations is 115,000, closer to 119,000 if you also include our telephone and internet services. So the total request is $474,919. And so, other than personnel, which I think is non-negotiable, I'm willing to entertain if the commission desires to present this full request and adopt it as presented, or if you find that any of the amounts perhaps on operations can be offset to our revenue fund in order to reduce our overall request to a specific number that you might find more desirable. So I present that to the commission.
I had a question about the office furniture. I know you have placed an order for furniture that comes out of this fiscal year's budget. Is that correct?
So the furniture that was procured for the operational staff actually came out of FY21. Because we
Okay.
received a continuing appropriation, those funds are still active and we're just delayed in receiving the product because of shipping and material shortages. So we're not expecting for any major purchase of equipment in this request, and there was none provided in last year's request also.
So the request is for enough furniture for 5 staff?
Correct.
Okay. And then like the conference room table and stuff like that, everything's all taken care of. That's great. Anybody have any questions about the budget? I had a question about the personnel, because I saw you have a different category for Pam than the 3 that are coming in. Is that correct?
Let me go back to the proposed and the
Yeah.
yes. So in the position strategy, when you entered the organization as a program coordinator 1, the pay grade scale is K, and then you go through steps 1 through 10. When you
see.
go to program coordinator 2, which has added responsibility, the pay grade changes to M. So that's why that position is reflected as an M.
Okay. So another question I have is the money that's coming into the commission for the training for the government employees, where does that reflected?
It
Or it's
would
not
not be reflected in this request, correct? So
Okay.
this is what is anticipated to be the full expense of the commission from personnel to operational needs. Of course, there is going to be revenue that is expected to be generated. We don't know what the legislature will fund eventually. So the commission has a few options. You can present and hope that they'll fully fund out of the general fund and not use the fees account. Or if there's a certain number that you think is more appropriate or more desirable, then you can make reductions to our general fund requests and anticipate that the revenue fund will pick up and cover those expenses.
So what's the anticipated educational fees that for this next fiscal year?
Great question. I'll go back to my presentation in August. I gave a rundown of the unmet need. I don't know if you recall, and that was essentially the presentation that had decided what would be the fee we charge to each employee that undergoes the training. So if I might just open this up real quick. And I might share a new screen so that you might be able to see it as well.
So it's pretty much the same since then, since August, we're still following along that same schedule, because now we have the UOG contract to do the teaching. So I guess we already had anticipated that, but yeah, okay.
Right, so.
I say we ask for the full amount. I say
Okay.
we ask for the full amount. And if there's any pushback or whatever, we know what we have to make up, but we really don't know exactly what that's going to, if all this is going to run smoothly and come in and everything else. So
True.
I'd rather ask for the full amount. So, you know, and if anything we have that left over, then it goes back into the general fund, et cetera.
So Madam Chair, the previous slide that I was sharing just highlighted that the unmet need was 161,000, but based on Commissioner Takenko's request, I think that that is a pretty fair pathway forward, only because quite honestly, the legislature has to fund every government entity. And there is a risk that we lower our request to a basic acceptable level and they cut even further from that. And then we would have to make up even more than we have available to make up for. So perhaps we can place this as a complete request to the legislature. And then if they reduce from that, hopefully they don't reduce too far where we would have an issue balancing out operational costs.
I would agree with that. Jesse, remind me, last year in our budget, that is what happened. What we asked for was less than what was approved, correct?
That is correct. And our request in FY22, we put in a total of $400,000. And as you see there reflected at the bottom, we were appropriated $267,000.
Yeah, I would agree with Meg.
Okay, I have one more question. Sorry to make this long, but the question is about the person who or people who are going to be doing the investigations for ethics complaints, because in a previous conversation, we were talking about that it could just be a couple more months before we can actually start on doing ethics, accepting complaints and doing ethics investigations. Would the person doing the ethics investigations would be one of those special project coordinators?
The ethics program coordinators, correct. So
Yeah.
within the position strategy, we always envision that the ethics program coordinators provided us as a utility employee that's able to take on the multifaceted roles, whether that be coordinating and logistics for ethics training, and then moving to conducting investigations. So what we can do to empower the workforce that we have in place is to actively search out and enroll the employees in these trainings that enhance their skills and abilities in conducting investigations. If there are high profile cases or perhaps cases that are a little more sensitive, I anticipate that I can request to the commission to approve. We might be able to contract a special investigator for one specific case if it warrants that level of investigating. But otherwise, the staff here should be able to address all those needs.
And do we need to add in any budget for training these employees to do the investigations?
We think that we'll have enough funds spread out throughout the requests that we can move around in order to support those training requests.
Okay, well, I just wanted to mention that when we first started putting the Ethics Commission together, the Civil Service Commission had helped us develop kind of a budget for what they thought we would need, and it was $1 million a year. So this is less than half of that. So it does seem reasonable to me as well. So should we go ahead and do you want us to vote on this to accept it? Or
Yes, Madam
you-
Chair.
Yeah,
In statute,
okay.
the commission's required to receive their budget request by January and then adopt and approve within that month to transmit to the legislature. Having it out early gives us an opportunity to present that to the governor's office and the legislature. So while they're formulating their budget bill, they would have already have in mind what the full request would be for the commission.
Okay. Is any other comments or discussion? If not, then let's go ahead and make a vote on it. Is there a motion to approve this budget?
I'll set a motion to approve the budget. Anybody second? Thank you.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, anybody opposed? No, if not, then it's approved. Thank you, Jesse.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next item is on the Executive Director evaluation. This form is provided again in your packet. I think that this is going to be a multi-day review, so I'm just sharing this with the commission today so that they can review the form and I can outline what are the specific elements of the form. So as required in statute, the executive directors to be evaluated by the commission annually. And in this performance review, I was very grateful and fortunate to get the support from Commissioner Leon Guerrero. She shared some resources on evaluation. And I also referenced the GovWAM evaluation rubric to make this document. And so I hope that this will satisfy the mandate, but also what the commission hopes will be included in the review process. There are five levels of the rating, from 1, which does not meet expectations, to 5, which is exceptional. And then a definition of each of those rating categories are provided here so that the commission can understand what it would mean to give an individual, or myself rather, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. And then there are several sections here. I lead with the goals that the commission had outlined at the beginning of the term when I first came on board, and then a status update on where we have been in meeting those goals. And then section 2 is the performance measures. And then this articulates all the elements and characteristics that was shared and desired of an effective executive director, and that the commission can then review and rate my performance of having met those goals. So how I was hoping to present this is, item 8 talks about the education program, which is like a boardsmanship retreat. And I think we can continue to have a broader conversation while we discuss the strategic planning next week. So I will present this to the commission. There are a few questions, like some organizations have identified a select number of members who will lead in doing the evaluation, and then the other members can review and concur, add comments, or each individual member can take up an evaluation rubric and complete it for the executive director. So that, I think, is a question that is being posed to the body to decide how they best wish to fulfill the evaluation form.
I like the idea of us all doing it. If that's okay with you guys. I'm open to your suggestions, though.
I agree.
Anybody else? You agree?
Yeah,
Okay. So Jesse, what was your start date again?
My start date was January 22nd, 2021.
Okay. So we have like a less 3 weeks or so to get this done, have it done by your anniversary.
Yes, so I'm hopeful that you'll have the opportunity now leading it to when we reconvene from recess next week. And then we
Okay.
could use that completed document for a conversation piece on Thursday where we talk about everyone's review and points that we would highlight and want to raise as areas for improvement. And then that will
Okay.
help strengthen the strategic planning for the year ahead.
All right.
Okay.
So we can each just download this document and fill it in. And then when we get together next month, we can go review it, or how should we proceed?
Correct. Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
Okay.
And then take action then.
All right.
That will be it for the agenda item. So going back to the agenda, Madam Chair, I know we tabled item A, and I did receive guidance from the Attorney General's office. So specifically, according to the Open Government Law 5 GCA Chapter 8, subsection 8109, the commission can recess to a date and time that it desires, provided that within 24 hours, the office posts notice at our door and online as to the date and time that the commission is recessed until and what business will be discussed. So at this time, I'd like to request, Madam Chair, that we recess until Thursday, January 6th at 12 p.m., that we provide the adequate notices for the recess, and the items to be continued are under new business A, Commission Education Program, and D, Executive Director Evaluation.
That sounds perfect for me. Is that a good time for all of you? Noon next Thursday?
It works for me
it's
right
okay for me.
Fine.
Yeah, I just checked my calendar. It works for me.
Okay. Anybody have any problem with
That's
it?
good with me.
It's okay. So we're not sure if we're going to meet in person or do Zoom. Is that right, Jesse?
Yes,
On
we'll
that
prepare for both. And
Okay.
what we can do is the Zoom link will still be active because we'll need to live stream the
Oh, yeah.
continuance of the meeting.
Mm.
So if there are members that prefer to just log on through Zoom, they can. And then we'll also have the office available for those who want to meet in person. And if you desire, we can also print out the evaluation forms for you. So no need to find the resources if you require. You can send that to us and we'll have it ready for you when you arrive.
For the evaluation. What
Yes.
kind of education program are we going to be doing? Is this like what we talked about, that we're going to kind of look at what we've accomplished and then look at what we're going to do for the coming year?
Exactly.
Yes.
And among other things too. So the statute, Public Law 3231, ask us to just highlight any areas of procurement law that will need to be discussed. So I have outlined those recent updates to the procurement law, what changes were made, and then all the statutes that concern the governance of the Ethics Commission. So every member will understand their role, what the commission oversees, and then help formulate the path forward on what our goals might be for the upcoming year.
Okay, so you anticipate like 1 to 2 hour kind of a meeting?
Correct,
Would that
correct.
be- Yeah, okay, so we can schedule for that. All right, so should we go ahead and recess then? Is there a motion to recess? Is that what we need to do? Is vote on it? Sorry, I'm not really clear on
Yes,
this.
no
part.
worries, Madam Chair. I can provide the language. If there can be a motion to recess citing 4 GCA or 5 GCA, Chapter 8, Section 8109, until Thursday, 12 noon, to cover items A and D under new business.
Motion.
Motion and a
Second.
second. Okay, and all in favor, please say aye.
I,
Aye.
Okay. Anybody object? No? Okay, the motion carries. We're now recessed. Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Oh,
you.
thank you,
Okay.
everybody.
Thanks.
to you
Happy
next
New Year.
Okay, thanks, everybody.
Happy New Year,
Happy
everybody.
New Year.
Yeah.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.